It was an emotional senior night for all of the Cats when the LSU Tigers came to town. The Wildcats find a way to blow the doors off of LSU in a big way. A game that, once again, it was a quad 3 game. You had to win it. The Cats get it done. Also, thanks to shout out to Ole Miss and Vandy and Mississippi State. I guess Oklahoma for kind of sucking and getting Kentucky a locked-in top 8 seed in the SEC tournament. Well, I guess Ole Miss won, but you get the point. Thanks to everybody. We're going to talk through all of the scenarios for how Kentucky can improve on their seeding for the SEC tournament and also break down the victory over LSU. We'll do all that on today's episode of the Wildcats Today podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Stefaniak, writer over at Kentucky Wildcats on SI. Joined, as always, by Carson Nash. Carson, we're locked in on Thursday, and it looks like you, me, Clay, and John Payne are heading down Thursday to Nashville, and then the rest of the fellows are meeting us for the weekend. It's going to be how are we getting too old? How are we going to handle this bender? How's the body going to handle it?
Yeah, there are some in the group that we may have to watch for.
Yeah,
there may be IVs involved.
Yeah.
Definitely liquid IVs. I don't know about the real thing, but we will.
If we're doing it right, we need the real things. If we do this trip right, we need in the vein IVs.
Yeah, it's going to be one to watch for sure. There could be some players popping up on the injury report for our group for this weekend. So need to watch that.
See, you're going to have like the Friday night ends. You're going to have some people questionable for Saturday. And then it's a question, are they going to play through it? Are they going to fight through it? And we're going to find out, are you soft or are you not soft? Charmin or not? We're going to find out from our pals. But I mean, absolute demolition on Tuesday in Rupp Arena. I mean, the Cats LSU is awful, man. I mean, they are awful. Like, I thought they were awful, but then I was like, well, it's the SEC. Everybody's beating up. But no, they're bad. They are very, very bad. They're like missing like a million guys, but they are bad. I mean, Otega Owe goes nuts. 9 for 11 from the field, 24 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, makes all 6 of his free throws. The Cats go 11 from 11 for the free throw line. Carson, I mean, I think we all thought we were going to win this game. So, I mean, knowing that, like, what was it wasn't like we're surprised we won, but knowing we did win the way we won, what did you kind of take away from this one on Tuesday?
I like how we passed the ball and facilitated and kind of took care of the ball more. And we're way more efficient, but against teams at the caliber that LSU has, they're just not as good. So it's easier to do whatever you want against those type of teams. So I expected this out of us, but we looked great and played the part and did what we were supposed to, and it came out and executed. And it was a great win, great feel-good win on senior night, like you said. And gosh, man, that was a really good senior night. It's been the first one in a while where you kind of got emotional. I almost got emotional there for a little bit, especially when they put out the video of them sending a message to their younger selves. Mm-hmm. That one almost got me. But really cool ending to a senior night for this special group of seniors.
Yeah. And it was cool seeing Zach Tao get out there, and get the ball. That was just a cool moment. Hearing the story about Lamont giving him a jersey. I mean, it reminded me of a certain movie. I mean, it was pretty cool. I mean, and those guys, Tao and Horn and Derbyshire, I mean, they help this team out. They do. They help this team out in many ways when it comes to giving them looks and different things. So good to see those guys, get out there and have a kind of special moment there. But yeah, I mean, another game, your bench went really crazy. I mean, Ainsley has struggled of late. I mean, was it 3 games heading into before this game? Ainsley,
he had 2 Tony Snells and then 1 bad performance.
No, he had 3. He hadn't scored a point in 3 games. Now, to be fair, he's only played 22 minutes between those 3 games, but still, I mean, 3 Tony Snells, and then he goes 6 for 7 from the field in this game, scores 15 points to go with a couple rebounds, he Tony Snelled and everything but points. Oh no, he had a steal. I was looking at Brandon Garrison. And then you get 15 points from Garrison. You get 11 points from Colin Chandler. So what is that? That's 30, 40. You got 43 between Trent Noah, Almanor, Garrison, and Chandler. You got 43 bench points in this big win. You always were cool with seeing 43 bench points.
And that's what you need for the foreseeable future, because those 30 minutes that Jackson normally plays are going to have to be dispersed between those guys, and you're going to need all of them to step up and pick up that slack to contribute for the loss of Jackson Robinson going forward. So it was good to see. And I mean, wow, Colin Chandler, let's start there. I mean, he's finally starting to come into his own, and it's starting to get exciting for me, because you see a guy who's physical, athletic, and can knock down the jumper, and is a good enough ball handler and visionary to have the ball in his hands most of the time. So that's really, really exciting for me. What do you think about Colin?
I wrote an article about this, Carson, actually yesterday, and it's debatable, and it got a lot of people saw it. So I mean, like, I think it's a topic that a lot of people are interested in. So I want to get your thoughts on this, Carson, because I don't know if you saw it. It's almost postseason. Like I said, we play Missouri on Saturday, which we'll preview that game tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, we'll preview that on Friday. But I mean, you play Missouri, and then you go to Nashville, and then we're dancing. So here's my question, Carson. What do you think about Colin Chandler being PG2? Now, obviously, I'll add the caveat, he is more of a natural 2 than a point guard. I'm pro him being our backup point guard, besides Travis Perry right now. So I want it with Jackson out, Kerr now officially done for the year. So what are your thoughts on that, Carson?
Yeah, I'm all in. I agree. I feel like we kind of have a lot of similar takes a lot, and the viewers might not like that, but I actually do see a lot of upside in putting Colin Chandler as your backup point guard, because he has the size to overwhelm some smaller guards at that same position. And he's very, very physical and athletic to stay in front of them defensively. So I say, go all in and try to develop him as a point guard, because he can become a 6'5", 6'6" point guard in the future for us. That will be really, really special.
Yeah. I mean, all I wanted to see from him, and in all honesty, I'll tell you this, you haven't gotten enough offensive production from Travis Perry to where we're saying, like, he might be a liability on defense, but you got to have him out there, right?
Well, you want to know Travis's problem right now?
What?
He's fighting for his life out there on the defensive side of the ball.
You're right, yeah.
And as a shooter, that takes the legs right out from underneath of you, and it's a lot harder to shoot when you're struggling on the defensive end and not being able to catch up to people and huffing and puffing, and you're tired on the offensive end of the ball. So, Travis will be fine. We know how good of a scorer he is. I mean, he's a top 10 all-time scorer in high school basketball history. So we know how good of a scorer he is. He will be fine. We just need to get him in the gym more, get him more fitness training, and I think he'll be fine in the long run.
Well, you know what it reminds me of? I don't know the guy's first name, but Deladova. You heard the story?
Yeah, Matthew Deladova.
The story about him guarding Curry, and like his teammates were like, he literally almost died out there. And I think you're right. I mean, Travis is having, he's not a great defender, and he's having to work so hard to play good defense that he is hurting his offensive output. I agree with you. But my the other pushback to the thought of playing Colin Chandler is he's 6'5", like you said. He's 6'5", 6'6", whatever. I mean, he can defend, and he can defend probably 1 through 3.
And we've seen him, and it's not like he's a slow 6'5", 6'6". He stays in front of these guards.
Yeah. Man, it's like going from like light to dark up in here. What's going on here?
Yeah.
Well, it's like
the Nosferatu's coming for you.
Yeah. But that was a good movie. I enjoyed that movie. It was so I'm all in, Carson, on Colin Chandler being the new PG2 for this team behind Lamont. Just because
I would like to see Travis come play off ball. Like Travis doesn't have to sit necessarily. I just play him off ball, let him do his thing, just get shots up. Because I still think you're going to need him. I mean, you need these players to come off the bench and provide depth. I just think he might be one of the guys later on down the list.
Well, I think, if you really think about it, a lot of times point guards are the guys that they're either going to shoot, pass, or drive. A lot of times 2 guards across basketball as a whole are more shooting oriented. They're not your guys that are going to put the ball on the ground and line drive. I mean, look at Kobe Bryant. I mean, obviously he's had some cut dunks and stuff, but I mean, it's not like he's putting the ball on the ground and taking you to the hole. So I think maybe even Travis would be, I think, very undersized often at the 2, but I think that perhaps that can be you can kind of hide him almost if you have him defending a 2 and playing Lamont at the 1 or Colin at the 1. But I just that lineup at times can bleed a little bit. So
yeah. Well,
yeah.
I wanted to bring this up and see what you thought about it. I mean,
I hate it. It's stupid.
There's a clear difference in play when one of Lamont or Ortega's out there instead of doing the whole, let's bring in Colin, Travis, and Trent. You know, what do you think? What do you think the method to that madness should be?
I mean, I'd tell you this: you got to watch back that Auburn game because we talked about that in the press box. I mean, it was somewhat interesting, and then you blink and you see those guys at the scores box. You go, "Oh, we're down 82." I mean, I just don't think you can do it. I think the way which makes dealing with a lineup harder, but you got to mix and match these guys. You know what I mean? And the last 8 minutes play your starters, but mix and match them to where you don't have that Brandon Garrison, Travis Perry, Trent Noah, Colin Chandler lineup, and we go, oh boy, oh golly. So that's kind of, I think I agree. You got to kind of move your minutes around that way. So I agree with you on that. I think that's kind of how I would work that around. I mean, anybody else in this game, Carson? We talked about our bench. It's funny, our 3 bench players outscored everybody in the starting lineup except for Owe, which I found interesting.
I know, and that's crazy, but that's also what Mark Pope teams look like as well, because you never know whose night it's going to be. It just has to be someone's night. Yeah. And so the contribution off the bench is huge for me. And BG looking good again. He's starting to excite me more and more on the offensive end. I'm really excited for the possibility of him returning next year because I think he could take big time strides. I thought Kobe was a little inefficient. He didn't have his best night, but to still win and put up 95 points with him not shooting well is a testament to how well we played.
I'd rather him save it for Saturday. I mean, we won by about 816 points. I'd rather him save the good game for Saturday. That's fine by me.
And then Ortega goes and plays one of his most efficient games and puts up 24 points with 8 rebounds and looked like baby LeBron out there again. It's getting ridiculous. Like if your team doesn't have a big who's really a really dominant rim protector and a guard who can stay in front of Ortega, good luck. Good luck, because he's getting whatever he wants.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, those are pretty much my only takeaways from this game. Carson, you got anything else?
No, I thought Carr is starting to look a little more healthy, which is good. And Pope said him and Lamont are like back to being good. Like, I guess that means fully healthy. I would assume, but they looked it. So that's a good update and continued to get fully healthy and shoot for a win on Saturday.
Yeah. And once again, we will preview. I'm going to talk for a little bit. I'm about to go, nerd ham on y'all with this SEC seeding stuff, which I've spent an unprecedented amount of time this week doing. But tomorrow on Friday, we'll preview the Missouri game. So, we'll get, that's why we're not doing that today. We'll do that tomorrow. All right. So dial it in, because a lot of people are going to be like, dude,
let me preface this conversation before you start. Andrew's a ball knower of the highest status in 3 categories. All right. The first category is pizza. The second category is rom-coms. And the third category.
Come on now. That's crazy.
The third category is seeding and what we need to do to get seeds.
What about where NFL players went to college? That's my other magic.
That's on there too. That can be a top 5. That'd be 4.
Yeah, that'd be number 4. But I've spent a lot of time on that this week. And it's funny. And like I can't do probably, and it's funny because I don't do math well, but I can do this. But it's not really a ton of math. But it's like counting 1, 2, and it's like counting to 3. So if I can't do that, we'd have a real issue. But the probability that we would have a top 8 seed locked up today, Thursday, knowing based on what happened Tuesday and Wednesday, is somewhat astronomical. It is amazing that happened. You needed both Vandy and Mississippi State to lose. They do. You needed Ole Miss to win. They did. You also needed, like, for multiple reasons. You needed Florida to lock up the 2 seed. That being so that Vandy can't overtake you. That happened. You wanted Oklahoma to beat Missouri so you have a chance to jump even more. And that happened. It couldn't have gone better. The only thing is if Auburn would have beat Texas A&M, that we could have we could still overtake Texas A&M, but it would take a loss against LSU. And actually, mathematically, I kind of think that we can't overtake Texas A&M, and I'll get to that. So just dial it in. This is going to be like the most boring conversation ever, but we're going to figure it out together. So, but it has to be had. So
This
right
is the
now,
most math Andrew's done in his whole entire life.
yeah, unless it's like how many like pieces of pizza do I get compared to everybody else? Like I'm like Kevin with the pie math. I can do pizza math. I can't do much else. So the Cats sit right now at 9-8 overall. If they lose on Saturday, they're the 8th seed. End of the story. Even if both Mississippi State and Vandy win, all of the tiebreakers,
Can't lose.
Yeah, you can't lose. All of those tiebreakers favor Kentucky for if whether they both win, whether Mississippi State wins and Vandy loses, or vice versa. All of them favor Kentucky. If Kentucky loses, they're the 8th seed. They'd play at noon on Thursday. If they win, they play Auburn at noon on Friday. If Kentucky beats Missouri, we're going to make the assumption. I'm just going to make the assumption Texas A&M is going to beat LSU on the road. I mean, I'd like to think that Lexington Catholic's JV team could beat LSU on the road. LSU is the worst team I've ever seen in my entire life.
Hey, come on, they'd be a top 10 ACC team.
No, it'd probably be Duke, LSU, Louisville, Clemson. If we're doing that.
Yeah.
But so looking at this, if Ole Miss loses to Florida on Saturday and we beat Missouri, we're going to be in a 3-team tie. And this is assuming A&M beats LSU and goes up to 11 wins, and then they're out of the picture. So it would then be a 3-team tie for the 6, 7, and 8 seed. All those teams are locked in as top 8 seeds, but it's who gets what spot. To which, per SEC rule, it then goes to, you add up the record, and I'll read this out loud because that's easier than me trying to explain it in my own verbiage. So, hold on, I'm gonna pull back up my seating sheet. So you add up the record of all the teams, and so what you would do is, Kentucky's record against Missouri and Ole Miss, Missouri's against Kentucky and Ole Miss, vice versa. I want to read you all the verbiage on that though, in case that's confusing, because it would confuse me if I was listening to myself. You can chime in on anything if you want to, by the way. I know.
No, I was just letting you go to town,
I
know. Like, this is the most he's read since like Highmarks. I was just watching him work.
This is like back when I had to take Adderall for my ADHD.
Yeah. And you just wouldn't come to lunch.
No. And clearly I'm back on lunch. But I would literally have like an hour a day. I was like, if y'all have seen the movie Limitless with Bradley Cooper, that was me for like an hour a day. And that's me with seating. But so here's if a 3-team tie or more. When 3 or more teams are tied, the following procedure will be used in the following order until the tie is broken. If 2 teams remain tied after a tiebreaker provision, the 2-team tiebreaker formula will be used. So step 1, best winning percentage of games played among the tied teams. Example, Team A is 3-1, Team B is 2-2, Team C is 1-3, Team A, B, C is the high. Team A would be seeded the highest, Team B the second, and Team C the lowest. So you do that, assuming that once again Ole Miss loses to Florida and we beat Missouri. If that's the case, all 3 of those teams against each other have a 1-1 record. We'd be 1-1 against Ole Miss and Missouri. Missouri would be 1-1 against us and Ole Miss, and so on and so forth. To which then it goes to the team's record winning percentage against the number 1 seed through the 16 seed. The 1 seed's Auburn. None of those teams beat Auburn. Then goes to the 2 seed, Florida. Missouri beat Florida. And once again, Ole Miss will play Florida for the first time on Saturday, but this is assuming they don't play Florida. So if that's the case, Ole Miss is then the 8th seed, and then you move on to the 3 seed. This is where it gets interesting. If I sound so nerdy right now, I love it.
I was going to say, here it gets interesting.
And this is where it gets interesting. But if Tennessee, if Auburn beats Alabama and Tennessee beats South Carolina at home, because Tennessee won that head-to-head with that Meshack shot, they'd be the 3 seed. And I believe, and I'm like 99.99% sure, I believe we would get that 6 seed because we have, the head-to-head over Tennessee. We don't have it over Alabama, and Missouri does. So if Alabama beats Auburn, then actually I believe would be the 7 seed. Now, if Ole Miss somehow beats Florida, we beat Missouri, then we get the 7 seed because Ole Miss would then be at 11 wins. We'd be at 10. So in Missouri, we have the head-to-head over Missouri. We would be the 7 seed. Missouri would be the 8 seed. So those are kind of the scenarios. But yes, you lose, you're the 8 seed. If you win, now if Texas A&M loses, that's when you mix in the 4-team tie thing. And I've run the math on that. And I believe that we are actually here. I wrote it down in my little journal here. Well, I'm just having the time of my life right now.
Yeah, I was going to say.
All right.
I think if you're a fan for viewing purposes, you would want to be the 6th seed, correct?
Yes, because that game is 7 Central, 7 Eastern, 6 Central. It'll be 6 Central for those on Nashville time. So in those 3 games, those 4 teams, if they're tied, Kentucky's 2-1, A&M is 2-1, Missouri's 1-2, Ole Miss is 1-2. So if Ole Miss loses, A&M loses, and we beat Missouri, and those 4 teams are tied, we'd get the 6th seed. Because we're 2-1, so is A&M, Missouri's 1-2, Ole Miss is 1-2.
Yep.
So
that's get what we want.
Seed. That'd be ideal. And then we want the 7 seed for viewing purposes.
Would it be the 7? Yeah, maybe you're right.
I'll go ahead and give this to everybody because this is important too.
Now, out of the group of teams in front of us between Auburn, Alabama, Florida, and Tennessee, who do you want to play least and who do you want to play most?
Least? This is tough. I think Florida's playing really good right now, and I actually think that's who we're going to end up playing. I think that Auburn garnered bad juju. Huh?
I think Florida's the hottest team in the country.
I think Auburn, if you're Kentucky and you're not pissed off about the post-game belting of the arse on Rupp Arena's floor, you have, you know what I mean? We have issues. I think Auburn's got one coming and I think they're probably the better team, but I just think they put some bad juju in the air doing that.
Yeah, so I'd want to see those fellas from down south in that dirty orange. They stink. Yeah,
then you've just got, which if you want to hear someone get nerdy, ask Mike about the can't beat a team 3 times because he'll go ham on that. Statistically, you really can't do that. But if you pour on the numbers, it's like 99.72.11. So Mike goes ham on that.
I just think we match up well against them. We match up well against teams who can't score.
Yeah, no, I agree. So the 7 seed plays at 6:00. The 8 seed plays at noon. Yeah. The 5 seed, which I don't see, which I don't think we statistically can't be the 5 seed because in that scenario, and I believe I'm right about this, because there's been people out there saying that we can be the 5 seed. Statistically, I don't think we can. Because, and once again, if I'm wrong, I've been wrong before. Y'all can tell me in the comments. But because
I don't know, I would trust this guy. He's passionate about it.
But between those 4 teams, like I said, the records, we'd be tied with A&M. One of 2 things happens, and this is where the verbiage from the SEC gets confusing. If it moves on to step 2 of the 3 or more team tie, then that would be the record versus the number 1 seeds, which of course now Texas A&M would have over us because they beat Auburn, we didn't. So if that's the case, A&M would get the 5, we get the 6. Now, if where it says here, if 2 teams remain tied after a tiebreaker provision, then the 2-team tiebreaker formula is used. And if that happens after the original tiebreaker thing, then it's head-to-head, and we have that over A&M. So this verbiage is a bit confusing, but I mean, it's one of those 2 things. So we can either get the 5 seed that way or we can't. But it still would require A&M losing to LSU.
And if you're Mark Pope, it's, hey, let's win on Saturday, right?
Well, yeah, no, but these are all situations assuming we do win on Saturday. I mean, once again, but the good news is we are the 8 seed regardless, which, just simply matters.
Which is nice for travel purposes for all Big Blue Nation
Yes, exactly. Exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
because that game's at noon. I know we'd all be going up there, but I mean, a noon like that would suck. Like, I'd have to, get all my work done, and I'd have to get up like 5 and do all my work, and then
For that
drive
Thursday
down
noon
there.
game?
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to get all my work done and then drive up there.
Yeah, I'll have to go to the gas station and get my Pacificos at like 8 in the morning.
Here he goes. Yeah, this is a business trip, and
Yeah.
because I mean business.
I mean business. Doug Shows, you better not give me a dirty look, buddy.
Yeah, no, you better not. You better not. But so that is all those scenarios there. So Carson, any other thoughts before we get out of here? Because we'll be back tomorrow to preview Mizzou.
No, very excited about the bye. I think this game on Saturday, I'm starting to lean towards the good guys a little bit more.
Yeah.
The more I'm starting to see and feel the vibes come towards Saturday. So we'll see in our prediction tomorrow, but feeling good about it right now.
Yeah, I agree. I feel good about it. I think that we I think we're in a good spot. I think we're gonna win, and we'll obviously do predictions tomorrow. But so once again, hey, hit that subscribe button. We're over 2,100. Let's get 2,200. And then tomorrow we'll be back at y'all to do a little preview of the Missouri game.
2,200. Andrew's gonna go and take a full trigonometry course since he loves math.
Miss Gadberry, I've already failed it once.
But
shout
out Miss Gadberry.
Shout out Miss Gadberry, the GOAT. But and then on early next week, Monday or Tuesday, we might even do it on Wednesday or something. We'll put out like a full-on SEC preview, and we have a guy who's requested special guest, and that is Mike. So we'll see. Maybe we'll see Mike on that, because you never know. Special guest.
We could get some locks. We'll bring him on to get some locks for the weekend.
Father Locks, that's Dr. Locks. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
A lot of overs.
Yeah.
Or no, he's the under guy.
He's the under. He's the under. He's the fader. He's the fadeaway. He's the Dirk of betting. All right. Well, listen, thank you all for being here. We really appreciate it. Like I said, tomorrow I'll be back at y'all with the Missouri preview. Hit that subscribe button, and we will see y'all tomorrow right here on the Wildcats Today podcast.